You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 756 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. The Dressage Radio Show is the official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation. On today's show, Kate Flemming-Kuhn shares with us her great year in competition arena and raising youngsters. And we start with Endel Ots' Olympic experience. Enjoy. This is Reese Koppler-Stanfield in Georgetown, Kentucky.
And I am Megan McIsaac in Oregon, Wisconsin. And you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Well, hi, Megan. And we have special guest, Glenn.
Hey, guys.
Fast, Glenn.
Good to see you tonight again.
Special guest, Glenn. Yeah. Hi. Welcome.
Hey.
Good to be here. And Megan has so much to talk about. Oh, my God. I saw your posts.
There's a lot going on. We just got back from regionals. I'm a little bit horse show hungover, but I took 3 horses to regionals. Region 4. I took baby horse. So she was 3rd level and 3rd freestyle. And she was reserved at the freestyle, which was
so exciting. Meaning you're coming to Kentucky and y'all, we're having a listener meetup. We're already excited. I know. We're already excited. So baby horse. And I interrupted your flow. So tell us about the other 2.
No problem. I also took my sales horse, Sheila N., and she competed in Pre-St. George, I-1, and the freestyle. And she qualified for nationals in the I-1. We're alternate for the freestyle. We got a little excited in our freestyle. And then my amazing horse, AJ, for 10 years and competed in, I think, the last 4 years Grand Prix. I had planned this was going to be my last show with him, and I didn't tell anyone, and I got actually really emotional. Mm-hmm. I saved him for my freestyle, which is my favorite. It's developed by Melanie McKayak, and it's really, Reese, when you're competing a horse that you love so much and he's a little bit lazy, and to ride the Grand Prix, putting all the pieces together is really hard. And so I was in the middle of my test, and the first third of the test, we got to our ones, and I started bawling because I nailed them without a whip. Oh. It was so crazy. I really didn't think I'd be emotional. And I was. And I started bawling in the middle of the test, and I was like, oh, you got to pull it together.
Get it together. You got a Grand Prix to do.
Yeah. And he was like, Mom, what's going on? We're having fun like always. And finished the test, and I was still bawling, and he punched a ticket for finals. And that's always been a dream of mine, to go to finals and do the Grand Prix freestyle. So we're going to do it one last time, and then it's over. So I'm going to be even more emotional.
I'm going to hold your hand before you go in there. Like, hold it together, sister. Oh, no. Yeah, and make it to finals on all 3 horses. Congratulations. Yep. That is a huge deal. Thank you. Fantastic. And I can't wait because I get to just come and, bring my happy little joy cup and walk around and watch y'all ride. It's going to be great. Best finals for me.
Well, I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait to ride in the Alltech arena. I'm very, very excited. Amazing. So, yeah. And you have some news too.
I do. I have also some bittersweet news. Yeah. And everybody has followed my journey with Follow Me, Big Mike. Big Mike actually went to his new home last week. And a shout out to his new mom. I don't know if she listens to the show, but I could not have picked a better place for him. Mm-hmm. His owner is absolutely adorable. She built her own barn. Her trainer's wonderful, and it very bittersweet, but that's the job he wanted to do. And, again, it was hard. It wasn't going to, I can't keep every horse. And nope. I think that's, for us trainers, it is what we do. And so it was very bittersweet, but actually mostly sweet, because we put a ribbon on his neck, and I just gave him a kiss, and I just told him, he was ready for this journey. And he did. He was ready. He was like, okay, this is great. I like this lady a lot. And it was really fun. So I get to see him. He's not very far away. He's not in the same state, but he's close enough. And so I get to see him, and truly it was wonderful. So I'm actually going back now. I'm getting a new youngster, hopefully not quite as young as the one I bought last year. That 4-year-old year was a little rocky for me. As we
I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to hear about your adventures.
I know Megan gets to get all the horses that we're looking at. So we're going to be there for a week, and I also have a client going over. So lots of fun news to talk about. And it's again, when you have a Grand Prix horse, and it's kind of like what you're saying, Megan, like at some point the ride ends, and Mike was 12, so he was ready to go on and teach someone else and go be somebody else's main man. So
yeah, but it's still hard. That's one of the hardest things of being a professional.
So hard.
Right?
It's very hard.
Brutal.
It's very hard. But even I would be honest, I mean, I think we talk a lot about on the show of when is it time to move on with a horse? And, there's goals that every rider has. And my goals are very specifically to ride Grand Prix and ideally international Grand Prix. And that was proving to not be what Big Mike really wanted to do. He really was a machine at the small tour. I think he won Westphalian Horse of the Year by a young woman, Mary, who catch rode him and did a beautiful job. Like he loved that job. And so, it was actually my sister who we talk about on the show. She's also a Grand Prix rider. And she was the one that said, hey, it may be time. And I was like, because I love that horse so much, but truly it was the right thing for him too. And I think sometimes it's hard to move on, but if your goals aren't aligning with your horse. And my mom was always very good with us when it was time to sell horses, we needed to sell them. So if anyone's
your
struggling with
sister is
that,
the right one to have that conversation with you.
Yeah. My sister. Yeah. I mean, she's like my best friend and my best confidant and my biggest cheerleader. And also, I'm very also lucky. My parents are still they own Big Mike with me. So they are very excited about our next adventure together. So I still have a very supportive family. And our syndicate worked. I did put on Facebook, Big Mike, we got as a very gangly 4-year-old. And I remember telling you guys about him and he wasn't expensive at the time, but he proved to be an expensive dude but also very well trained and I enjoyed every step. So it is bittersweet for us riders, and it's like you said, Megan, like that ride will come to an end at some point for everyone. If that's where you are and sometimes it's time for them to go on to new homes. So it was bittersweet, but gosh, I'll let you guys know about my new journey as we go through. And I'll
can't wait.
Yes, about our travels. So it's going to be great. But I go in another week actually before finals, and Megan and I will get a time together and we'll do a meetup for finals. And anybody feel free to reach out to me. I actually had a listener reach out about how to get some hay in the area when they're at finals. And I love that. So feel free to reach out. If you have any questions? Sometimes we do where to go to dinner and that kind of stuff. So seriously, I live about 12 minutes from the horse park. So it's my local town and I love to show it off. So we're excited about finals in a couple weeks. So feel free to reach out.
Well, I am so happy for you too, Reese. I know how hard you work at this job and how hard it is to do things like this, but, and we've all lived through this horse with you.
Yeah. He's been a fan favorite for sure.
And by the way, Phil's very happy you got this done too, because Phil lived through this horse with you more than anybody. So,
honestly, this rider was Canadian, and I
happened
to kind of look up at Phil, and I definitely feel Phil's around. I feel like hopefully when I go over, he'll be with us for sure. So
he'll be there.
Speaking of which, one of the things that he always did with us around the holiday time was Radiothon. And also he did the all host shows with us at holiday time too. But we are doing Radiothon again this year. Like last year, we're doing it video and audio. It's going to be December the 1st. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So December the 1st, we'll be doing it from 3 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. HolidayRadiothon.com has all the details. We're giving away thousands of dollars in prizes again. We're going to have the fun submissions from the listeners, singing songs and doing poems and all that kind of stuff. We have something planned for the last hour when a bunch of the hosts, including Reese, show up. So we're going to do something really fun that hour. Reese doesn't even know about it yet.
No,
It doesn't involve singing. You're fine. It doesn't involve singing. So you're good. Last year we tried that. It was a miserable failure. So
it didn't go well. No. Well, I think it was quite late, and we all maybe had holiday beverages.
I think I had a bottle of 2 Prosecco by that point. So it's like,
you did.
But it's a lot of fun, and we hope that you can join us. I'll have more details on how to enter for the prizes and how to get all that done over the next cut. Probably in the next episode of the Dressage Radio Show, I'll have all the details for you.
Right after this break from Kentucky Performance Products, we're coming back with Endel Ots. We're going to hear all about his amazing experience at the Olympics. And just a clarification, later in the interview, he talks about his sponsor, Heidi Humphreys of Zen Elite Equestrian, just to clarify that for you.
Frequently asked questions brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. I know my older horse will benefit from a joint supplement, but can it help my younger horse too? Yes, it can. The joints of young horses experience daily wear and tear that can lead to joint degeneration over time. A well-balanced joint supplement provides the building blocks necessary to support healthy cartilage and synovial fluid so horses stay sounder longer. Joint Armor is the product of choice for younger horses. It provides high levels of both glucosamine and chondroitin plus 100 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. Joint Armor is herb-free, so there is no worry about it testing in show horses. Betsy sent us the following comments after she started her 5-year-old quarter horse mare on Joint Armor. My vet recommended I try Joint Armor. After 10 days, I couldn't believe the difference. She is now floating across the arena and willingly forward with impulsion and suspension. I am thrilled. She is happier too, ears up and a soft eye. Thank you for such a great product. You can learn more about Joint Armor at kppusa.com. Got questions about your feeding program? We can help. Email Karen at questions@kppusa.com. or call us at 859-873-2974.
Well, tonight, this is really an honor to have Endel Ots. He was the alternate for the Olympic Games this year, and we were just laughing. Endel, we've had you on at every stage of the game now at the Dressage Radio Show, and oh my goodness, it's such an honor to have you back on the show. Welcome back.
The long-time interviewee, it's been wonderful. It's been really nice.
Yes,
We've known each other for such a long time.
We have.
I remember many, many funny stories that one I can't tell on here. I just thought of, which we'll talk about afterwards. Because it's really funny, and I think you'll remember it. I think you'll remember it. It's pretty funny. But we leave it up here.
We're so happy to have you on. And oh my gosh, first of all, tell us about Bohemian, because you started to ride him, and it was just such a joy from the beginning. So tell us about him.
No, he's great. He reminds me the most of, I used to help Chase Hickok on Sagacious years ago, and it reminds me the most of Sagacious. You have to have a lot of respect for him. He does fight for you in the ring. The first couple of times that I was on him and showing and stuff, I mean, I'd ridden him for 2 weeks, and then we did a national show, and then I think another 2 weeks after that, then we did like the first CDI, but that was the timing. You don't always get to, plan stuff out how you want to. It's just what it is. But no, he's a great horse. Like to really respect him and how he works, and not always to expect everything to be perfect. I mean, it's it's you and your horse kind of against everybody, really. And to when he's out there and we're doing the warm up or competing or doing the schooling rides before like Aachen or any of this stuff, I have to just trust what I feel he tells me. And, a lot of times in the ring, it's I'd say the only test that I wasn't super happy with was in Kronberg in the qualifying stuff. And Marcus had a super, super ride in the special, and Bohemian felt great. I was going right after Marcus. Everybody was screaming in the crowds, and the crowd was really close to the arena, and I had a lot of energy in there, and I tried too hard, and I pushed him too much, and then there was just too many mistakes. I mean, it was a 69. It was still good, but it was like I went, and I'm a competitor, and I want to win, and I should have just said, no, be happy with your 72. It's all good. And he's the kind of horse I mean, you can make it worse in the ring. Like, you can really make it worse. But he knows where to go. You have to think a little bit ahead of him on certain things. I mean, not always halting at C, but he knows the drop down to trot. You know, I mean, I just do a little quiet in my voice, and he poop right at M, drops down to trot pretty much every time. Sometimes before I ask him to. So kind of sometimes getting that part kind of together is, you know, getting him on your side where, yeah, he fights for you, tries for you, and getting him to wait for you. And that's always, I mean, I think with any horse, like a struggle. But for me, it was really important that I really respected him. I mean, the same as Sagacious. I mean, Sagacious had more grump, and Robert, if he hears this, will be probably annoyed that I say this, and maybe we'll disagree. But we checked back when they had the website where you could check all the rides. Maybe they still do somewhere, but, you know, I just had more Grand Prix rides than Robert Dover had in his whole entire life. And, you know, it's like, you got to respect the horse like that, and then say, all right, let's try to tweak one little thing to make it a little bit better. And then also to fight the urge of not making drastic changes. I would say that's the biggest thing that I learned over in Europe. And everybody wants all the, you know, to give you all this information and really to help you and everything, but to really just go down and just, I mean, for right or wrong, just really trust your gut. And yeah, that would be the biggest thing that I learned over there, because every time I trusted my natural just instincts, like on the horse and being on him, I was really happy with it. I mean, you always want to do better, you always want to get higher scores, like it's never enough. But my favorite moments in Europe were, I would say, after the halt and salute at the final end of pretty much every test, and then the walk back. Walk back, everybody's happy, everybody's getting high fives, everybody's all nice, everybody's all great. And then as soon as you get off the horse, you got to think about the next test and the next thing. And you're on this roller coaster that literally pretty much before every single ride, I had to keep telling myself, this is fun. You wanted to do this. You wanted to do this. You wanted to do this, you know?
This is fun.
It is fun, but it's a lot of pressure, because you go over there, you basically lose all your clients when you're gone, because you're gone for 4 months. You don't make, you don't make any money. You know, you're, washing you're washing your clothes in the bathtub, and, cheap little apartment that you rent. And, it's a humbling experience, and it's great, but I learned a lot from it, and just going in there with, I think I went in there with certain expectations that ended up being true, and then other expectations that again, you can't know. And I really, you really try to get all the information you can from, your other teammates and everybody there, and everybody's kind of in the same boat, but if like you haven't, I haven't been on a team with, Stefan and Adrian before, like I've known Marcus forever. So, everybody, like I've known Stefan and Adrian for a long time, but, I think once everybody kind of relaxes and it's a good group and a good team, and it makes all the difference. In the beginning, everybody's a little bit wary, of everybody else, and just want to keep their head down and work hard.
Yeah. And I think that's so good to hear. Like, we see the glory of you at Versailles, but I mean, like, really what you have to go through, again, losing basically your income and living in apartments that are, not as nice as home. Let's be real.
Yes.
Doing your laundry.
You miss ice. You miss ice. Air conditioning.
Yep.
It seems like such a little thing, but it's
big.
It's, again, I never, I don't want to Heidi is a really, really great sponsor and client and friend of mine, and she's always super great. And the federation, I don't want to put any that they're not supportive. They're of course supportive, and they do everything you can, but stuff comes up you didn't think about. I mean, the biggest thing was laundry, finding, that's awful. That's awful. I mean,
I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk. Okay. I am sitting on my couch and I see you on the set. I'm like, oh my God. Tell us what that was like. That was so cool. I'm like, it's Endel and Stefan. I took as many pictures as I could and rewound. Like, it was so exciting.
That was the best. That was on everything. That was a moment where everything, like those, man, I think it took us, we were there at 1:00 in the afternoon, and then, we left, we ended up staying at just a little tiny hole in the wall in Paris. We didn't get done till like 3:30 in the morning. And that was just such a wonderful experience. And I mean, Stefan was so cool. I mean, and, we were kind of reminisce about things, long time in the past. Like when I was 25, I was the alternate for the Guadalajara team for Pan Am's. That was, of course, the only year that they didn't bring the alternate, which sucked. But,
right.
Hey, it was what it was. But
yeah.
I reminded Stefan, I was like, I said, just, take this as a compliment. Don't take this that you're old. But I said, I don't know if you remember, but I was the alternate. I think you remember I was the alternate on that team. But I said it was my birthday, and I said you bought me a beer, and I was 25 years old, and I said you bought me a beer at the hotel bar, because you said I heard your birthday today, and I was like, yeah, actually it is, and I said that actually meant a lot to me. And he's been super nice, but it was just such a real wonderful experience, and just getting to know, like just another rider as a person, and being able to, Stefan is very open with his, struggles with anxiety and depression and things, and I have the same things, and we talked a lot about. I mean, we talked years ago about it, and I'd send him some books that I thought were helpful, and but you don't spend that much time. But when we really had just such a wonderful time, and like meeting Steph Curry and LeBron James and everybody was really cool, and all this,
so cool.
All the sprinters, all the sprinters for the U.S. Olympic team and the track and field. It was really, really fun, and like there was real camaraderie around the athletes. And one of the coolest things, which Stefan noticed and I noticed really as well. So they had the U.S. boat, of course, is a very gigantic boat with a lot of athletes on there.
Huge.
And then,
it was huge.
Yeah, and we were second to last on, in the, the ferry line, going through the Zen. And pretty much, I would say it was 98% of the boats. And sometimes there was just like one little tugboat with like two athletes on there, or it was like a gigantic boat. Almost every boat that went by the U.S. boat, I actually get goosebumps thinking about it now. Like they all chanted like USA, USA, every single one.
Oh.
Some of the communist countries, no, well, understandable, but like, but all the other ones, random. I'd never even heard of it. And U.S. team, like, we didn't really want to chant USA back, so we just cheered and yelled back. Some of us didn't even know the names of some of these countries, and it was just a really cool experience, just, being there and then being able to see, like, all this garbage and, things that you hear online, these wars and all these horrible things that happen to people. Like, most of the people are just people. I think it was amazing. They had the athletes from China right next to the athletes from Jamaica in the athletes village. So you had these Jamaican guys out there dancing and singing and stuff, and you had the Chinese athletes all organized and in line like an hour and a half before. Every uniform looked perfect. I mean, it was either a beautiful, glorious accident or one of the smartest things that they did. It was really cool. But the boat was amazing. We were soaking wet, and it was really fun to hang out with the jumpers and everybody. And Carl and McLean were really awesome and really nice. And so that was absolutely by far. And I told Stefan that this is the best moment of my entire life so far.
I
said I'm really happy that hey, I can spend this with you, my friend. Like, and we have a nice text thread that we text and check on each other all the time. Very cool. It was just really fun, and also to have somebody that you've looked up to for so long, and to be able to be on the team with him. And I don't think he'll mind me saying it, but there was talk at the training camp that we were not going to be able to do the opening ceremony. And they told everybody because there was there was like one riding session we could have in the stadium before, and I knew Bo didn't care, like, he's going to be fine, it's no problem. And Stefan, he really wanted to do it, and they asked all the athletes, and Stefan raised his hand and said, I really want to do the opening ceremony. funny. So then when I got the nerve when he raised his hand,
Yeah.
I said, if Stefan says he wants to, I really want to too. I just don't have the guts to say it on my own, and I said, I don't want to cause any problems. I'm not going there on my own. Like I need a buddy to come with me, you know. I don't want to be the, one jerk that doesn't go, but yeah, it was really, really, really,
it looked
really
amazing.
awesome.
I also
the Federation was great about also like coordinating it, because it was a lot to coordinate.
I can imagine getting you there and getting you back, and oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have to ask about the hot topic, because Snoop Dogg, hello. Yeah. I gotta know everything. Tell me all the things. What happened?
The hot topics with
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, Snoop Dogg. Oh, yeah. No, it was cool. They I think I can probably say everything, but I had heard, the press officer came up to me and said, "Hey, how's your horse with crowds?" And I said, "I mean, pretty good. And he doesn't really care about anybody, like he's always pretty fine. He's seen a lot. And okay, I got something for you and Stefan to do tomorrow." There was like rumblings and stuff, and you'd kind of hear some stuff from people, and you'd hear some stuff online, but we weren't really sure, and they didn't really tell you. Like, they didn't tell us even till the day.
They didn't tell you?
Wow.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't tell us. Yeah, they kept it super quiet, and then like I felt bad because they didn't tell me, but I kind of had an idea, and then like I didn't want to like also tell anybody else. I felt guilty, like I'm holding the secret and whatever. But no, it was really cool. I mean, they wanted to get, I guess they wanted to get Snoop there before, and Martha Stewart there, but during the actual riding stuff, they were, because of how strict the drug testing is on the horses, they were worried with Snoop and his,
contact,
his medicine that he uses. Yeah, they were worried that if he touched the horses, that maybe they would test positive or whatever, because like they're so
That's
strict.
amazing.
And so they didn't have him while we were riding, and they waited until we were basically all done. And it was really cool. I mean, they cart Snoop up and Martha Stewart, and I mean, Martha Stewart is, my God, I hope I look half as good as she does at her age. Like,
oh my God, she's my
unbelievable.
I know she was 40 or whatever.
Well, yeah, it was really funny. They had so it was McLean, Stefan, and I, and we're sitting there, and Martha, because they had us, we braided our horses and everything, and she asked us, she goes, "What kind of braids are those?" And I looked at Stefan and I go, "Do you know the name of these braids?" He goes, "I have no idea." And then I looked at McLean, I'm like, "Do you know what you call these braids?" He goes, "I don't know. Braids." And so like she wanted to know the specific type. I'm like, I had no idea. And Snoop was pretty funny. He's like, "I got to do that to my hair." And no, it was cool. Like Mopsy's very in your face with, like, he's a super personable horse. Like, it reminds me a lot of Lucky. Like, Lucky's a bull in a china shop, like he'll mow you down for a carrot. And Bo is way more gentle. Like, he's the slowest chewer on the planet. Like, if you give him a carrot, you're there for 5 minutes, and so like Snoop like that he was not as aggressive as Mopsy. But yeah, I mean, Martha Stewart, she knew a fair amount about horses, but
she owns horses.
She does. And I've seen her Conan O'Brien thing, on the Frisians, which was really funny. But she showed a small lack of knowledge. She called both of them chestnuts. And I'm like, Mopsy's a bay, you gotta look at the legs, like, all right, strike one, Martha Stewart. And then, but no, they were really, really kind, and Snoop was just a kind of cool character, and like really fun, and we got a couple of his Snoop pins, which
nice. Yes.
Yeah, I gave Heidi one, and then I have one, but I kept it very quiet, so I didn't tell anybody I had one. I did actually. I was. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but no, it was really fun, and it was like really nice for the sport. And then I wish I was there when they were in the stadium, and just like kind of like a hard schedule. Like, your time is not yours. Like, so you're you're organized. You got to go here to here, and then you do this, and you check in with everybody, make sure you're doing all the right stuff, and everybody's happy. And I mean, security was crazy. Like, they had 4 police officers for every athlete, and
wow.
Yeah, and I thought they said. Yeah, I thought said there were like 1,500 athletes or something, or 15. I don't know, it was something like that. And so they had four police officers per athlete. So you walk down the street. I mean, it was the safest city that we'd ever been in. Whole European kind of tour, and that was really fun. That was one thing. And I'm butchering whether it's 1,500 or 15,000. I'm not great with numbers, but Stefan, we were sitting in the boat, and he's like, "Hey, how freaking cool is this?" He goes, think of how many people are in the world. Think of how many athletes are here. Think of what percentage of the population of the entire world you are in right now. And I was like, that's pretty cool, Stefan. Thanks, man. Yeah. I said, I won't, it was nice. And he's filled with things like that, so it was really cool.
That's pretty, I mean, I can't even imagine 0.00001% or something crazy.
I think I did. I it up, and it was something ridiculous. I did look it up, and I sent it to my dad because my dad, he's a nurse surgeon, and he did not want me to do this. He didn't have the best experience with horse people when I grew up and stuff. And there are some not nice ones, and there's plenty of nice ones, just like with anything else. But he wanted me to be a doctor and all that. So, but he was very proud. He came there with my mom and everybody. That's pretty cool. That was a really nice time.
That's amazing.
Wonderful. Can you tell us about the Zen Elite grant that I've been seeing on Facebook?
Yes. So Heidi's big thing is, that the dressage community supports itself, and she really, and she wants to not just support her riders and, the people that ride and campaign horses for her, but she really wants to really help out, all dressage in the U.S., at every different level, and it is a, expensive sport. And that's why we need, people like, Heidi and Kiko and all these, and all these other great, sponsors and owners and stuff in the sport. And she's this very successful businesswoman, and her thing is always about like positive vibes, and she really wants to give back to people. I think that like maybe it was I was texting with her one evening and just talking about how some of her horses are going and stuff, and she's like, oh my God, I forget what she said. I think she got like a couple thousand emails and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I said that's after 24 hours. I said you're going to get a lot more. So it's a lot of like I think it's like really important to even apply and do that stuff, like to put stuff into words, and then be able to write up application on why you need it and what it'll help you with and what it means to you and all that. Like I think a lot of times like us as, riders and train. I mean, you got to be so many things, a rider, a trainer, a businessman, an accountant, a PR person. You got to do all this stuff. And sometimes when you kind of do, and I know when I've, applied for grants and different things, it helps you to sit back and look at like all the things that you have accomplished, and then also, really put it into words. And it's even just doing the application. It's a really nice, I think it's a nice thing for riders, because when you put those together and you get, on some of the grants and stuff that, they do, you get letters from different coaches or trainers or other riders. And it's always really positive. I mean, whether you get the grant or not, just getting all this stuff down,
and there are grants out really there, important. And this is such a great one. And so Endel, how can our listeners find more information about you and your training, because you have your own business, but also the Zen Elite grant? How can they find that?
I would say the best thing for the Zen Elite grant is if you go on Facebook, that, Zen Elite Equestrian. And I mean, Adrian, has always tagged on all her stuff, same as me. And then if you go on that Zen Elite Equestrian Facebook page, she continuously posts stuff on that, and she has a lot of that grant information on there. I think they were redoing her website, and so I'm not 100% sure the name of the website or if that's on there, but the Facebook, like Heidi's very active on Facebook.
It's easy to find. Yeah, that's where we found it.
It's pretty. So it's there. Yeah, it's pretty easy to find, and Heidi is. she's such a cool person. I mean, we talk a lot where, I'm like, I knew you in another life. And when I met her in the beginning, she called me about a horse I have for sale. I think it's 112 now. Still alive, still down there. He's living his best life in his wonderful air-conditioned barn. But I was a friend of mine wanted me to sell her horse, and listed it, and she came, with her entourage she always brings, and like the vet rode the horse, Heidi rode the horse. I think her son came and rode the horse. Like that day, it was a whole party, and it was just really cool vibes. And yeah, I just everything worked out. She ended up buying the horse and everything. And when she bought the horse and put all the stuff together, I just shook her hand and I said, we're going to do something. We're going to do something really cool someday, and I want us to stay in touch. And I think it was maybe, 5 years or so later, or maybe 4 years later. And I would just kind of send her some stuff on Facebook here and there about, different accomplishments and different things. And then, then we started doing more and more. So she's just really has such a good heart and really, really wants to uplift, dressage community. And, she's not, she's a very, very special person just for dressage in general in the U.S. I mean, for her to get so passionate about all this, like she's very, very passionate about animals. And I mean, the amount of animal rescues that she has, I mean, she is every girl's dream. Like she has got like this huge woolly mammoth of a cow. She's got like all these geese and ducks, and I mean it's so cool. And she's got like cat rescues and duck rescues and llama. I mean it's amazing. And then for her to just really see the beauty of the sport and the beauty of the training and how much she really appreciates it. I mean there's not many people that come in and see that as clearly as she does, and I'm very, very thankful
That's
for
wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Endel, how can our listeners find you online?
If you just Google my weird name, Endel Ots, I have a website and, Facebook, Instagram, the usual stuff. I mean, my phone number is up there somewhere. I think it's on the website or whatever. And I would say what's easiest, like a message on the any of those things. Sometimes it gets a little bit hard to get back to. I have to do a talk for I think it's like a kindergarten group or something that I kind of get, and I can't figure out which messaging thing it's on, and I feel bad because they were really nice to reach out about following goals and all this stuff.
You're gonna do great. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not good at it, but
you'll do great.
I hope so. I'll do my best not to swear in front of the kindergartners.
Yeah, that'd be great. You're not edited then. Oh, there we go. Endel, thank you so much. You're so kind to always come on our show and be such a gem, and we so appreciate it. And we can't wait to see what you and Bohemian have this year. I can't wait. And to you guys in Wellington very shortly.
Looking forward to it. And Reese, you've always been such a really, really kind person. I think there's a lot of nice people in this sport, and there are just as in anything that some, not as kind people. But, your reputation in this sport is just in a stellar way as being just a person that uplifts everybody, that is kind, as a good rider, a good trainer, but even more so, like a really kind person. And I mean, you've been nice to me for I don't even know how long. So I really appreciate that.
Endel, you kind of made me tear up a little bit. Thanks, Endel. That was so sweet. And you could see me at Ollie's, and I won't wave weird back. I'll come sit with you at the bar.
Perfect. Yeah, we were just discussing before we were recording about how bad I am at trying to say hi to women. It doesn't work well.
I'll be your wingman.
It's pretty embarrassing. That would be its own YouTube show.
Oh, thank you so much, Endel, and we can't wait to see you this winter.
Even under the best circumstances, travel is stressful for horses. We've all been there, stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. You can make the journey knowing that US Rider is there for you. Get peace of mind on the road with US Rider's nationwide 24/7 roadside assistance coverage for both you and your horse. Join today at usrider.org.
Well, tonight we are so excited to have Kate Flemming-Kuhn. She is a 4th level certified instructor faculty member. She also is an FEI rider and trainer at her Star West farm with her husband. And she just came back from the Region 4 championships with 4 championships on her horses. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, girl, you had quite a championships. You've got to tell us all about it.
Well, it was really exciting for me because the horses that Martin and I brought were all purchased as foals and raised here at our home farm and started here and have just been developed up the levels with Martin and I. And it's really neat when you've been involved in a horse's life for that long and to be in a partnership that has that kind of longevity is really neat to get out there and see that rewarded.
That's so, I competed against you. It was so fun to watch you ride and try to keep up. And are you going to Nationals? Do we get to see you at Nationals?
Yes, I'll be there with the 3, and then Martin will have his horse there as well.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
I love it. Well, Kate, tell us, I think this is a big topic in dressage right now in the United States about us raising our own horses and training our own horses. So can you kind of talk us through the process? Talk us through the process of kind of all the way to festival and regionals, because you've been having an amazing summer.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a long game. I looked it up, but it has been the last time that I had a horse of my own that I did not start was 15 years ago. Oh. And 15 years ago, I had sold 3 sales horses and took this, what I thought was this enormous chunk of money and flew to Europe and looked at a bunch of horses and thought, I'm going to come home with my next star. And it was, in my mind, this enormous sum. And I got there and we probably looked at maybe 40 horses in the course of just a few days. But every single horse I looked at, there was something like one gait that wasn't good, or the x-rays weren't good, or the temperament wasn't good. There was something in each one. And I was commenting to somebody about that, and he said, well, with the budget that you have, you're going to have some imagination. Like you're not going to be able to afford a top horse. And so I went home thinking, how do I do this? How do I afford the quality that I want with the resources that I have? And so that really started. Martin and I ran a breeding program for several years. That was not so successful for us. I love breeding. I have a real passion for it, but we lost a lot of foals and it was very heartbreaking. And so I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way. And that turned into buying foals, and all from U.S. breeders. So we didn't have like the cost of import. And it was an affordable way to get what I hoped would be the quality that I wanted. And that has been very successful for us.
May I interrupt? What do you look for in a foal? Because I've always purchased 3-year-olds. I'm always like shy of raising them. So what do you look for? Because you've picked really great horses.
Yeah, I think having an eye for being able to see the gaits in a young horse is something that needs to be developed. And then, so I always look like first the breeding, because I really research the lines. One of the things I think when you're buying unstarted horses that you can't know is what their work ethic will be like.
Right.
But if you really study the lineage, you can have a certain probability that a horse will have a work ethic. But I like a horse that has a lot of desire to go. So if a horse is a little bit too calm, or a little bit too, like as a young horse, maybe not the most kind of sensitive type, those would be horses that I might sell as amateur horses, and that, you know, they might be perfect for that market. But so looking at the foals, like the breeding obviously is the first thing I look at, and then looking at the conformation and the movement. And when we buy foals, they go through a 3-part critique. So I'm normally the one that finds them first, and then if the breeding is good and the gaits are good and the conformation looks good, and the fourth thing is kind of, I'm going to say, the magic piece for me is what I'm going to call the it factor, and that sense like that there is just this presence that a horse has. And I think that in a good foal, you can see it.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So after you choose your foals, you bring them to your farm, and you guys own a great farm, a beautiful farm. And then what happens? Kind of, do you turn them out till they're 3, or what's your process with that next stage of life?
Yeah, so we live on property, and our home is surrounded on 3 sides by pastures. And so the foals come home and they go in aged groups. So I normally, if I'm buying one, I normally buy 2, or maybe a student will buy 1 in that age group. And then they go in age segregated groups. They live out 24/7. They get kind of minimal handling, their feet trimmed and their vaccines and worming. And other than that, they are just out playing and growing and in pasture space. And when they are 3, then things get rolling in terms of getting them. That 3-year-old year is just getting them started. It's not very serious. Any kind of serious riding, I don't start them at 2.5. We wait until they're the spring of their 3-year-old year, and just starting with groundwork and just getting them kind of acclimated into being ridden. And then if they're good enough and the temperament is good, we might do, try for festival with them, but only if they are really saying that they're ready.
And that's at 4 years old. You start to festival, to think about festival.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. But for you guys, it's actually, when it's at Lamplight, it's not too long of a trip, right? It's fairly close.
Yeah, just over 3 hours.
Yeah.
So nice. That part is really nice, and we can show there through the summer, so the young horses get that ability to get exposure to that venue.
That's perfect.
Through the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then once you go to festival at 4, and then you're ready to rock and roll, right? Then you kind of, what's your next process? Kind of figuring out where they go.
Yeah, a little bit. They tell us, like, some are clearly young horse candidates, and if they have, like, the training progresses in line with being able to do those tests, and they've got the quality of the gaits, then we pursue that. And if not, then we might just keep training at home. And, sometimes, like, the horses will be good FEI horses are not really a horse that you think will be a young horse candidate, which is fine. Then we stay home and just keep training.
So, Kate, tell us overall, how many horses do you have sort of in rotation? Because this is very much a European model, I think, when you start looking at the European farms and that kind of stuff.
I have a limit, like a top number that I say, okay, it won't be more than that. And I'm a little bit over that number.
Yes.
So, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. I try, to stay under 10 in total.
Okay.
And some of those are like, they're in the field and just growing up. So some of, that they're not all under saddle at once.
Yeah. That would be a lot.
And that would be a lot. And keep in mind, there are 2 of us. So, that's right. Divided between Martin and I.
Husband. Yeah. Your husband's also an amazing Grand Prix rider.
Yes. And I try to choose horses that I also think like will fit, a tall man.
Yeah. Yes. Martin's tall and you're, I'm not going to say your average height. You're not short,
right.
But compared to Martin's very tall. So
yeah, we had this, we have 2 3-year-olds this year and I'm really excited about. And there was one particularly, I thought that one, I really want to ride that one. So I went out and I looked for a second. I thought the tall one, Martin can ride that one. Sure. They're both his. There's no question about that.
And you also have a riding school, right?
We do. We run a Star West Academy, which is a beginner program with school horses. And we have 5 instructors that are a part of that.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a really great way to bring good horsemanship and learning just the beginning parts of dressage for our community. And there's been a lot of excitement, both with kids, but also I'm going to call them re-riders, adults that have come back to riding later in life.
That's fantastic. And that's a big population, right? I mean, that's a lot of riding schools. That's when to get back in, they have had their kids or they have some extra time. And that's sometimes a hard time to find a riding school or a place to ride. So that's incredible.
I think it's really important to, I think this gets back to a little bit this conversation of how do we afford to do this? And having the riding school, I think, is really important to me because there is such a need for an affordable way to get people started riding. And that may be riding once a week on a lesson horse. That may be the furthest they will ever go with it. But they are getting this connection with horses. They're learning in a safe environment on a school horse that is, has good education and is appropriate for their level. But again, it's affordable. And I think that's is something that I feel passionate about because I think the horses, just as a general rule, are just everything about what we're doing is getting more expensive. So providing a way that people can learn and be a part of it that is affordable, I think is really important.
It's fabulous. How do you find your instructors? Because I also have a riding academy, and finding people who want to teach, I find, are limited now.
Yeah, all of the instructors are students of Martin and mine that have had an interest in teaching as well. And I have one that does it full time, and everybody else that is in the program has it might be their day is Saturday mornings that they teach, and they work in another industry Monday through Friday, or they teach. I have somebody that might teach in the evenings after they've worked another job. So that the instructors are for the most part they are doing it part-time.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. No, I think it's an amazing program, and hearing about your entire program and how you're making things affordable, but also growing your own horses. I think it's a great model for all of us. So Kate, how can our listeners find you online? If they have any questions and want to see your program, how can they do that?
StarWestOnline.net is our website. And then on Facebook, Star West would be the Facebook page for Martin, and has a bit more about what Martin and I are doing. And then Star West Academy Facebook page has the lesson program information.
Well, it also looks like a lot of fun because I am on that page and I think it's really fun. So what you guys are doing is great, and congratulations. And we can't wait to see you in Kentucky.
Awesome. I'll see you both there.
Couple of weeks.
Yay.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, girl.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we are so excited. Just to remind you guys about the book club, Janet Foy, The Not So Perfect Horse, and you can get it on horseandriderbooks.com. And Megan and I will be at convention and be in the book club discussion, right, Megan? We're going to really enjoy this.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit also a meetup at convention. So we're really looking forward to all that. So meetup at finals and meetup at convention. I don't know, you guys may get a little bit tired of us, but we're excited about doing it and we'll have lots of laughs together. As always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our page at horseradionetwork.com. Just search Dressage Radio Show. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
And my website is lindenhoff.com and my email is lindenhoffllc@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our friends and show sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products. If you'd like to support our show and the Horse Radio Network, you can do that through the Auditor Program found at horseradionetwork.com. Keep on kicking on until the next show. Talk to you soon.